It is November of 2024, and I would like to make an apology. For the last 10 years, I have said to anyone who would listen to me that I had no desire and no need for a 3D printer. I was convinced that these were toys and had no application in a workshop. I was absolutely wrong. And I'm going to give you 5 practical workshop prints that proves this is a tool and not a toy. First printed tool is this featherboard. If you don't know what a featherboard is, this is a safety tool for the router table, the bandsaw, the table saw. It helps to prevent kickback, which is the #1 cause of injury at those tools. All of these tools are going to be printed with Bambu Labs PLA filament. This is PLA Basic. So here's everything that you can print out for the featherboard. Printing out the featherboard is super straightforward. Printing out the miter slots and knobs does require a little interaction. 3/4 of the way into the print, it will pause and you will have to add a nut to this piece of hardware. And then about 10 minutes later, you'll have to do the same thing with this one. What that accomplishes is that that nut is now embedded in the print, and so it cannot come loose. The reason that there's 2 of these in the file is that one is standard and one is metric, so you can decide which one you want to use. Assembly. We've got the miter slot. This little wedge shape goes in here, and then these 2 bolts fit into corresponding slots. That goes onto the table saw. Tighten down this knob, expands the miter slot so it doesn't move in this direction, and this knob controls the pivot of this curve. I gotta say, first couple test cuts with this, it's working great. It's doing exactly what a featherboard's supposed to do. It feels sturdy, it feels like a commercial featherboard. I've seen arc-shaped featherboards, but none with this second pivot on them, so it's a really nice design. Tool number 2, look at this. Can you even see it? This tiny little print took around 10 minutes, and it's pennies to print. You can see it's got this cool knurled pattern on it. And what is that? Oh, what is that for? So sometimes you need to be able to get in really tight spaces, and even a small screwdriver isn't small enough. Went through my shop today looking for the smallest screwdrivers I could find. These are Stanley screwdrivers, and they're great for getting into tight spaces. These are the 2 smallest screwdrivers I currently have in the shop. And look at the difference here. I mean, we're not pretending that we're going to need to get into these tight spaces every day, but if you need to do it, I've never seen anything smaller than this that allows you to get a grip on it, which is really handy. I think it's a great idea, and I love that you can just swap out this tip for whatever you want, rather than having to have a whole host of them. For how little time and filament is used, I think this is a super useful print. And with the holidays coming up, this print and a set of bits would make a great stocking stuffer for anyone on your holiday list who's a DIY enthusiast. Next tool on the list. What is this? So this tool actually falls under the organizational category, and it's used like this. This took very little filament. It did take 1 hour to print. I liked the print so much that I went ahead and printed 5 more copies of that, and the print with 5 versions of this took 3.5 hours to print. And for me, my spray cans are out of control. So now I've got a half dozen of these. Let's try them out. So in looking around the shop, I've actually got this space right up here that's doing absolutely nothing right now. Let's put this space to use. So I'm just using 1.5 inch screws. Backside here you can see we've got this hexagon shape here, which adds some visual interest. It's a piece of plywood, so I don't have to worry about them coming loose, but you could also hang these with drywall anchors if you needed to. I have a lot of these Rust-Oleum cans. I love love it. I think it's a great print. That's a great print. And this is not only a functional one, but I think it looks really cool too. And I've got a ton more of these, which means I'm going to print a whole bunch more of these and fill up this whole section. First 3 prints, good, bad? How do you feel about them? Let me know down in the comments below. For print number 4, if you've been in a workshop and you've used sheet goods, then you probably know about this. This is a holder that allows you to get a better grip on sheet goods, plywood, sheetrock, any large sheet good. Let's zoom out and see if we can't get this on camera. So I don't have a full sheet of plywood in the shop right now, but I do have a section. When you're working with sheet goods, the problem with it is that they're big, and most of us don't have hands that are long enough to get from one side of the piece of wood to the other. And that's where this tool comes in. So this does a couple things. It allows you that extra reach to get to the bottom of a piece of sheet good. It's also offset so your knuckles don't get bashed, which, now it's out of frame, you can't see. It allows you to carry a full sheet of plywood with just one hand. And then you can use this one on top to steady it. These are available in almost every hardware store. You can get them on the internet all over the place. So why include it in a must-have print? My Bambu Labs printer here, I've got a tool manufacturer in my shop, which means that at 10 o'clock at night, I can press the print button and I can wake up with this. We're talking a couple dollars worth of filament to print this out. The cost of buying one of these in person or online, I could print out a couple of these and have them just sitting around the shop. All the prints in this video I did without any supports, including this one, which came out great. And apparently being able to do that is a really big deal. Up until August of this year, I've never used a 3D printer. I've been to events and expos where I've seen them used. I've seen 3D printed objects, but I've never used one. This is the Bambu Labs X1 Carbon. And from what I understand, getting this as your first machine makes me incredibly fortunate. It's apparently one of the fastest machines on the market. Reliable. I've had a handful of print failures with this machine since August, and almost every single one of those has been a direct result of me not having the experience I need. I also have this AMS, which allows you to have 4 spools of filament at once automatically connected to the machine. The machine itself recognizes what the filaments are because of an RFID tag in the spool and automatically loads and unloads them by itself. In addition to that, whenever there are maintenance tasks to be done, this machine will just pop up and tell me, hey, you need to grease your screws. Popped up a QR code and walked me through the process. And in addition to being able to print tools for the workshop, I can also print upgrades for this machine itself. One thing I've learned is the main enemy of filament in the shop is moisture. And so I went on to MakerWorld, I found a prints out all these little containers where you can put in silica gel to control the humidity inside of the AMS. And since then, the humidity measurement on the machine has been measuring a 1, which is, I'm guessing, as good as it gets. And I'd like to thank Bambu Labs for not only sponsoring this video, but for getting me past my weird quirk of not wanting to do 3D printing. If you are interested in getting your hands on a Bambu Labs X1 Carbon or any of their machines or filaments, follow the link in the description. In addition to that, there is also Black Friday deals going on right now. If you're gonna go ahead and purchase one of the best printers on the market, why not save a couple $100 on top of it? For the last print, I'm actually gonna do all of it from the app, and let me just walk you through this. First thing I'm gonna do is open up the app, and you can see my previous search here, which was spray can handle. Scroll through all of these different models till I find the one that I like. Yep, that's the one. And I'm looking to print it in the X1 Carbon. Select the machine. Select the color of filament. Verify that that's what I want. How many copies? Start the print. And you can see it's going to be downloading. It's downloading the print directly to the machine itself. And off it goes. Here we go, the last practical workshop print for this video. Yet again, something you've probably seen before. This is one of those objects that I've passed numerous times in the hardware store, and I never purchased one because they just felt like a fad. But having the ability to print one off at home and test it out is an enormous amount of freedom. So for 78 cents worth of filament, I can press a button, try this out, and decide whether or not I like it. It's printed in place with a moving part. There's no assembly required. You just take it off the printer and start using it. Okay, that makes sense. That seems pretty straightforward. We should get something to spray paint, I guess. Oh my gosh. Well, that's actually really cool. I really like that. And look at that, my hand's not all covered in paint. Normally when I spray paint things, you'll see me put gloves on because I don't like to get spray paint on my hands. But this gets you far enough away, and I don't feel like, if anything, it gives you a bit more control. That's actually really useful. Probably print one out just to have on my lacquer can, which is what gets used the most, and then maybe one or two more for when you need to do painting. Yeah, a simple and incredibly useful print. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it. There's a ton of other objects that I ended up printing and not showing in this video. This is a simple square that I made. Here are a couple of runners for my table saw. If you liked this video and you want to see more 3D printed tools for your workshop, let me know. I would love to make another one of these. I'm going to put a list of all of the models that I printed in this video down in the description. And there are a ton of useful and practical prints out there that you can start printing right now. But not all prints have to be practical.